This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing?
No. No, it doesn't.
Okay. I mean, are you serious, Joy? Are you serious?
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Leftist Losers Show, where we point out all of the losers of the left. And today I got another clip from the Young Turks for you guys, where Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur are actually out here calling out the leftist media. And we have to give them credit whenever they do something that's right. And to be honest, it's nice to see. You know, the Young Turks say some pretty unhinged, crazy things most of the time. But when they do something right, again, we should give them credit, because the more we praise people on the left for doing things that actually make sense and are reasonable, the more it's going to motivate them to maybe start saying the truth and, you know, not being crazy. So anyways, in this clip, they're going to go ahead and talk about the ridiculousness of MSNBC and Joy Reid specifically, and how she's just saying some really ridiculous, unhinged stuff. And so we're going to let the Young Turks just go ahead and tear her apart for us and enjoy this clip. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and we're going to jump right into it.
These two men are both elderly. Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing?
No. No, it doesn't.
Okay. I mean, are you serious, Joy? Are you serious? I mean, these MSNBC hosts look totally unhinged. Several of them, including Joy Reid, were questioning if the event was staged in a sense. They're like, oh, it's a really weird coincidence. What's going on? And look at what she said. For 9 seconds was allowed to do a photo. He's the president of the United States. He just got shot. And
Former president of the United States.
Yeah, I got you. But the former presidents are still called president.
Right.
And so you're begrudging him putting up his fist after he got shot. First of all, that's just nuts. Second of all, any of these things like, oh, isn't it curious how they stage things? No, you're egging on people on your side to think crazy things.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah, Michael Steele did the same thing, again, on MSNBC. They're starting to really sound like the MAGA version.
And there's no surprise there. All of us on, you know, on the quote unquote right, we know and have seen just the garbage media and just the type of crap. MSNBC has been spreading this kind of crap forever. I mean, look at Russiagate and Ukrainegate and all the other lies about Trump that they pushed for literal years and still haven't taken back or gone back on and said that they were wrong. They push those lies, and then when it's discovered that they're you know, full of crap, they just move on. And that's exactly what they want to happen here. You know, we notice the media now is not even talking about the Trump assassination anymore. They're not even mentioning it. They're avoiding it as much as they possibly can. And on top of that, if you try to Google Trump, it doesn't even come up anymore. Like, Google's now starting up the propaganda machine and interfering with the election by making sure that only certain information shows up, just like they did back in 2016, where Hillary Clinton articles were nothing but good things and Donald Trump articles were nothing but bad things. And it's just sad, folks. It's really sad, but it's fantastic to see the Young Turks, you know, call them out on that. While the Young Turks, I don't agree with them on their policy ideas or a lot of their politics. I do appreciate, again, when people do the right thing and they call out the bullshit, and they should be praised for that at every time. They should be praised no matter what other garbage they do. If they do the right thing, you should always praise somebody for doing the right thing. It doesn't mean that they should be held up on a pedestal and you know, we should look at them as heroes or anything. No, not at all. But we should appreciate the fact that they are calling out MSNBC, and we shouldn't let them hide this. I mean, we should not let the mainstream media try to downplay the Trump assassination. This was a major historical moment. There's only been a few assassinations or assassination attempts in our history, and we should not let them bury this. They are desperately trying to bury this, but this should be brought up. Every time you guys go out and have a political conversation with your friends or family, bring it up. Bring it up, because we need to keep this fresh in the minds of the people, because if we don't, it'll get buried. The mainstream media will do everything they possibly can to bury it, and they're already working on that desperately.
You know, on the Democratic side, for sure. And then what kind of lunatic thing is it to say, oh, you got COVID, you got shot, it's the same thing? No, it's not. I had COVID a couple of weeks ago. It was a normal cold. So that's, look, COVID now is, especially if you're I mean, I get it. He's 81, and it's a little bit more of a risk. And God knows what happened. I hope nothing happens to President Biden. And something could happen. But getting a cold is not the same thing as getting shot in the head. Like, you're embarrassing yourself by saying ridiculous things like this. And unfortunately, Anna, they've kind of trained their audience to want this. They want some sort of criticism of Donald Trump under any and all circumstances. But guys, there's a billion things to criticize him on policy and the other crazy stuff he does. And when you criticize him on those things, you lose credibility when you also criticize him for how he got shot.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and skip their little ad, but yeah, no, he's 100% right there. I mean, you 1,000% lose credibility whenever you focus on these ridiculous things. It's the same thing with Russiagate and everything else. Donald Trump is not the perfect politician. In fact, there's a bunch of other people I would prefer, especially like Vivek Ramaswamy. He would be my choice if I could just, wave a wand and get whoever I want. I'm sure a lot of you disagree with that, but I appreciated the fact that when he would say or give his ideas for things he wanted to accomplish, he wouldn't just give generalities. He would actually give like a step-by-step process for how he would do it. And it'd still be relatively generalized, right? Because you gotta get the sound bites in, but he always came across as it seemed like he had an actual plan to implement this stuff versus just politicians saying, well, I want to just shut the border down or whatever, But he's exactly right. And the right does this too. There are people on the right who do the same thing. They get caught up on like the really kind of insane conspiracy theory stuff. And it definitely turns off normies, right? And I'm not saying that you should not question those things or look into that stuff. You 1,000% should, especially in this day and age. But you got to like read the room, right? And when you're trying to talk to your normie friends or family and try to like kind of convince them that, of whatever it is you're trying to convince them of, if you start off with the really crazy wild stuff that's just blatantly a lie or just insane sounding, you're going to turn them off and they're automatically going to discount everything you say. And it just doesn't work like that, right? So he is a good point. And again, like I said, we got to praise, the Young Turks for when they say things that make sense, because maybe they'll see that and they'll do more of it.
Jake and I have been doing this for a long time. And I remember when I first started working at TYT, there was one cable news channel, Fox News, that was very clearly partisan, very clearly dishonest in their framing, deceptive in what they were telling their audiences. And since then, unfortunately, that virus has spread to all other forms of media, including left-wing media, MSNBC. And so I don't have a problem with them criticizing Trump at all. We criticize Trump on this show. What I have a problem with is the way that they frame things, the way they omit certain details and certain stories. It's not helpful, and it creates these ideological bubbles in the country where rather than finding common ground with both sides, we all hate each other. There's always division. It's always toxic. And I feel like it's leading the country in a really, really bad direction. What she said there was she said it with a straight face. I can't believe she said it. I'd be so embarrassed if I was on the record saying something like that. But anyway, as we know, yesterday it was confirmed that President Biden tested positive for COVID. This is the third time in the past 2 years that he has tested positive for COVID. Here's what he wrote on Twitter. I tested positive for COVID-19 this afternoon, but I am feeling good and thank everyone for the well wishes. I will be isolating as I recover, and during this time, I will continue to work to get the job done for the American people. Now, during MSNBC's coverage of the RNC yesterday, former White House press secretary Jen Psaki argued that it's actually going to be pretty difficult for Biden to show Democrats that he's up to the task, and that is what ultimately led to Joy Reid's interjection. Let's watch.
They have a more immediate challenge right now, which is projecting to the Democratic Party he's inevitable and he's up to this job.
Yeah, well, here's the question that I have on that. These two men are both elderly. Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States,
and that is because it is a sign of strength. And then these people just they can't let this man have anything. And I know and I understand why. And I realize that they are desperate because they see the writing on the wall that this was incredibly helpful to Trump. And I think Trump knew that too. And that's a sign of leadership, though. Every time they look at the things he does, and anything that's good, they automatically look at it as like it's a manipulation. Like, oh, Trump's just this evil mustache twirling guy who's like, I was shot and now I'm going to take advantage of it. No, like okay, but that's what leaders do. Like, leaders see moments that are critical to the movement and their people, and they go, what would be the most important thing that I could do right now to show the people that we are still okay and we are going to keep pushing forward? And that was him raising his fist. It wasn't manipulative, like, oh, he must harness the power. No, it's, if I stand up and raise my fist in the air and look like a leader, I will inspire the people to stay strong and stay motivated and be prepared to move forward and win. Like, that's what leaders do. That's what we should aspire to, put those people in leadership positions. Yes, it shows strength because it's inspiring. The man was just shot, and instead of crawling off the stage like a whimpering little puppy, like a lot of these other people like Joy Reid would probably do if this happened to her, he didn't do that. He raised his fist in the air and showed strength. And these people, they have to make it into this guy's a manipulator and an evil guy because that's all they have left. They don't have any political arguments. There's zero. They don't argue on policy because they lose those arguments every time because their policies make no sense and just cause problems. But they're just pandering half the time. That's why they're doing this whole Joe Biden's got COVID thing. It's because they need to make him into at least somewhat of a victim of some kind so they can get, pity for the man. That's all this is. They're just looking for pity, so we feel bad for Joe Biden, and then it's not as rough of an exit. That's all this is. It's silly. But you know what? None of you were surprised. I'm not surprised. This is just standard MSNBC for the last forever. So they'll just keep on keeping on, I guess.
Is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? That he's strong enough, older than Trump, to have gotten something that used to really be fatal to people his age. So if he does fine out of it and comes back and is able to do rallies, isn't that exactly the same?
It should.
I mean, it's not exactly the same. It's not the same incident, but it's an elderly man coming through out of an illness.
It should.
It's funny because Jen Psaki's face was like, what are you saying? Please stop talking. But then she says it should.
She does want to embarrass her colleague there. But I mean,
amazing.
it was a huge cringe moment. I don't think that the MSNBC hosts understand how unhinged they sound.
No, I mean, if they do, they're evil, right? This is the two options for a lot of the mainstream media. They're evil. They're either evil people because they know they're lying and manipulating the audience into thinking things that make no sense and aren't true, or they're just the stupidest people on the planet and they'll just say whatever they're told to say because they just want money and fame and don't care. Either way, it's not a good thing. It doesn't look good no matter how you spin it for the mainstream media, but they don't care. These people don't care. Again, they're either evil or stupid, and I don't know which one you'd rather be, I guess. I'd rather be stupid. I don't know, but they're clowns. Anyways, guys, that's all I had for you for this clip. I just wanted to, shed some light on something the Young Turks did that, again, I don't agree with pretty much anything they say. As much as he's calling out MSNBC for being unhinged, Cenk Uygur gets pretty unhinged quite often. But you know what? When the left points out when the left's doing bad things, we should praise the ones that are calling it out. Just like we should praise people on the right for calling out, when people on the right do silly, stupid things. It goes both ways, right? If you want to be a reasonable, level-headed person, you should praise people who are being reasonable and level-headed in the hopes that they will do it more often, right? So anyways, folks, that's what I had for you today. If you liked this content, please like and subscribe, and tell me what you guys thought about this down below, and see if you can show some love for Anna. She's been seeing the light a lot lately. I wouldn't say she's red-pilled or on our side or anything, but it's nice to see her calling out the left's bullshit. And yeah, like and comment down below. If you hated the content, go ahead and tear me apart in the comments. I don't care either way. I appreciate the engagement, and I will see you guys in the next video and hope you all have a fantastic day. Peace.